Okay, hi. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making 4 stockings for Christmas. I am going to be going off of a pattern I found online. I will link the pattern below. And I love the pattern. It's very versatile. It has 4 different styles of cuff. Today we'll be doing the regular and the scalloped. But yeah, I think we're going to go in the style of step 1 of every stocking, step 2 of every stocking, and hopefully I can get it done today. That's a bit bold. I have been sewing since about July, so I still have a lot to learn. I know very basic sewing skills. This is going to be my first video of the channel. I am quite a bit nervous as to how this will go, so bear with me. My current 3 subscribers, I hope you enjoy. Let me show you the fabric. So I've already cut out everything I need. It took about 3 hours. Yeah, no, like 2 to 3 hours to get everything cut. You know, my last time I sewed something, I cut it and then sewed a piece and then cut it. Don't do that. That takes way too long. Cutting everything out at once is much easier. You're kind of just like in the zone. I set it up on my kitchen island, so it's like perfect hip height, and I just went in with the rotary cutter and got it all out. So the first one is going to be blue gingham, then pink gingham, red, then green. And I'm going to be alternating the cuffs. I don't know how it's going to look. In my head, I think it's going to look great. But in actuality, we will see how they look. So it's going to look kind of like this. This one will look like this. Other note, I only did one interfacing, and I'm just going to put it on the front of the stocking right now. I'm hoping that will be thick enough. If not, I might have to go back and maybe add one to the cuff and add one to the other side. I do want a little bit more of a flimsy look, not so like rigid. So hoping that will work out. Okay, so the first step is to line up the liner with the outside of the fabric with right sides facing in, to sew the long edge of each of these cuffs. So because this one is going to be regular, I'm going to go straight at it. And I am using a white thread. We are going to do a straight stitch and then a zigzag. Please ignore, look at that. Look at that beautiful work in progress. Beautiful. Okay, so for this part, I am clipping the fabric to the lining because these cuffs are going to be scalloped. So I want a little bit more stability there to line them up together. Take the scallop, and thank you Rooney Sewing Patterns for letting me use this pattern for the video. But we're going to line up each section with this scallop, and then I'm going to take my water soluble marker and just trace a guiding line that I will be using for when I sew. After I sew the line, I will need to cut off some excess. before I pivot, so I don't jump around. And I did increase the stitch length from the first one. I just felt like when it's so close together, I can't pivot well. So let's see if this is a little bit better. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut this, see how it looks, and then before I move on to the second one. Take this and come in without breaking the thread. And then we're actually gonna flip them, leave them this direction, and sew the short sides and leave the long end open, and place right sides together again. Okay. I am going to do a straight stitch and then possibly, should have done this back before, possibly do a zigzag depending on how I feel about fabric at the end. And if I feel like it's going to end up fraying or it'll stay stable enough. Yeah, I'm definitely going to put a zigzag stitch in. Poke out. Yeah, it looks ironed. Okay, the verdict is we're gonna keep moving forward because I don't hate it. Like this side, you can tell has a little wonk. I might be able to like poke it out more before I'm done. But this side, pretty darn good. So I feel confident enough to move to the other one. Yeah. From this point on, I lost all of my audio. So I have to record this a month later, just about. And I'm going to try to remember every step as I see it. For the worst part is the outro.
I have to read my lips and remember what I said. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so here I'm showcasing what I've done so far. So I did the pink cuff, popped out the scallops, ironed them, and then I also completed the red cuff, ironed those, popped out those scallops. And now I'm moving to do the straight cuffs, which is our green and the blue gingham ones. So enjoy. All right, so we did the same thing for the blue gingham as we did for the green. Just going to review the cuffs so far. So we did the red with the scalloped, poked them all out, ironed them. We did the pink gingham. We did the blue gingham as a straight stitch, just folded it in and ironed it. And then the green followed the same pattern where we just ironed it flat. And now we're moving on to the loops, which is where, well, how we're going to hang our stockings. So you're going to take the pattern, do it as if you would bias tape. So just fold it in, iron it nice and flat, and then you just need to sew down one side, the side that's open. So once we finished all the loops for each stocking, I moved on to the body of the stocking. So we take each stocking and we're going to do right sides facing in. For my fabric, it didn't really matter. The right and the wrong side look the same. You can't see it here, but underneath I did put a layer of batting because it's going to be right behind the front panel. So essentially, if you're from the floor, it would be batting, front panel, back panel. So that's what you're seeing me do here. I'm just clipping all the way around to make sure the batting and each panel are lined up well. So after I lined up each stocking, time to take it to the sewing machine. I really struggled with this part. I would go too fast because I thought I had the hang of it. I was very confident and then quickly realized that I'm rushing it. So remember that sewing is not a race. Take your time, slow down. It was the curve that kept messing me up. I kept clipping the outside of the edge, so I would have to open it, flip it. I see it, have a hole. I have to guess where that is on the inside, flip it back in, sew it. So here we're just gonna go into the sewing machine. We're gonna be using a straight stitch. I left about a quarter to a half inch seam allowance. After you go all the way around the edge of the stocking, you are going to want to trim the edges. So leave what you can that you're comfortable cutting close to. If you make it too small, you're gonna have a hard time getting the pinking shears across. So leave about a half inch if you could spare the fabric. And I'm just going around here, looping up and repeating it with each stocking. Now we're just going to take those pinking shears and trim around the edges. So you're going to repeat that process for each stocking, sewing all the way around the edges and then using the peeking shears to trim up. Here are my finished shells of each stocking. So after we complete the shells, we're going to move on to adding the cuffs of each stocking. So you'll take the stockings right sides facing up and just slip on that cuff. Once you add the cuff, you'll just line up the edges with the edge of the stocking and then go in with a straight stitch with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. After you do the straight stitch around the top of the cuff, you're going to grab the loop you sewed earlier and put it onto the left-hand side. Then you'll just go back and forth with the straight stitch and join it right along the hem at the side of the stocking. And you're going to repeat that step for each stocking, making sure they're lined up at the edge, do the straight stitch, and then put that loop on the left-hand side. Here we're moving on to the linings. So I'm just pinning around to make sure I keep them straight as I'm sewing. On the side closest to me, you'll see I leave about a 4 to 5 inch gap. I put pins on the ends of each gap and I mark it with a marker to make sure I do not sew along that edge. This gap will be intentional as it's necessary to flip our stocking right side out once we're done sewing the liner on. So once you're done sewing up that liner with a straight stitch, you're going to line it up with the stocking. The stocking will be right side facing out, and you'll just slip that liner right on top. And you'll go in and do the straight stitch right around the top, just like you did with the cuff. Don't worry if it's not perfectly aligned on top, because you will be trimming off the excess. The most important thing you want to make sure of is that the right and left hand seams are lined up with the liner. once you're done trimming off that excess, you're going to grab the stocking from the hole you left in the liner and begin to flip it inside out. Then you're going to grab that lining, line up that hole, and just sew it straight stitch to close it up. And then you're going to take that liner and push it into the stocking, and you're done.
It's me from the future, from when I first did those stockings. I did them about 3 weeks ago. I finished them right before Thanksgiving. In the original video, I mentioned it was 8:30 p.m. I started at 2:30 p.m. So it was about 6 hours from start to finish. I did eat dinner and I cut the stockings about a week before, and that was about 2 hours. So calculated time, I say it took about 7 to 8 hours to finish all 4 stockings from start to finish. I am so happy with the way they turned out. They were exactly the colors I envisioned. I wanted something really fun and not as traditional for Christmas, but still having some traditional flair with the red and green. And it was my first kind of ambitious project. I think I sewed a shirt before this, 2 pillowcases, and a bag. So this was my first following a true pattern as best I could and making it happen. And they're getting used right now. We're a couple days from Christmas. I'm hoping to release this video right before Christmas. And I'm just so happy. I wanted to make this video to kind of keep me accountable to my sewing projects. So I will be posting more often sewing projects. I also crochet, I read, I study the Bible, and I'm hoping to bring this all to the channel, Dress Lilies. I will talk about the name more in another video. But I just want to say thank you for so much if you've watched to the end. And if you want to see more like this, like and subscribe. You know what they always say. So thank you.